faster and in lifting people out of poverty.
So Nicola Sturgeon there at the end of that sequence of response. Let's go live to Westminster. Michael Gove is there, the Conservative, former Education Secretary and Government Chief Whip. Mr Gove, thanks very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Hugh. Lovely to see you.
An interesting little comment online from someone saying that there was a lot of political cross-dressing going on. Yesterday, Labour talking about fiscal responsibility. Today, you as Conservatives saying that you're the party of the workers. What is the theme you're trying to stress in this manifesto today?
Well, I think it's a bright and optimistic story of the good life that all of us can enjoy in the next 5 years if we carry on the path that we've already been following for the last 5 years. As a result of the careful management of the economy that David Cameron and George Osborne have been responsible for, we're now in a position to say to people that at every stage in your life, we can provide an enhanced opportunity for you and for your family. We can provide better education, enhanced childcare. We can provide people with the opportunity to own a home of their own at last, and we can also provide dignity and security in retirement.
On the right to buy, which clearly has had a lot of headlines today, a lot of attention, your colleague Boris Johnson said just very recently it would involve massive subsidies. It would be potentially extremely costly. Housing associations are private bodies, as we know. We would need to get the funds to support that. How much are we talking about, and is all that factored in?
It absolutely is factored in. We expect that we'll be able to raise £4.5 billion every year from the sale of the most expensive council properties. There are some council properties in the heart of London that go for almost £1 million. If we raise that money from making sure that those properties go to people who can afford them, then we can replace that social housing, we can build new homes for rent, and we can also at the same time invest in transforming brownfield sites, so that we build more homes, and at the same time we can enable people who are in housing association homes to buy their properties as well. At the moment there's an unfairness there. You can have two people living side by side, one in a council house who can buy that council house, one in a housing association home who's barred from being able to buy it. That's simply unfair. The dream of home ownership should be available to everyone.
5 billion, that's a lot of properties to sell, isn't it, to get to 5 billion?
4.5 billion, and we at the moment are absolutely convinced that we can get more properties. In fact, we'll legislate to ensure that more properties are sold. At the moment, there are some local authorities that are sitting on those assets, and to my mind it's criminal to have a property that could be sold, which you can ensure pays for more housing and more opportunities for people to own their own homes, remaining essentially in the hands of a local authority that is sitting on a golden egg.
Thousands of properties. I mean, I'm not going to sort of do the precise maths, but that's thousands of properties to be sold off.
Oh,
yeah?
Absolutely, and there are thousands that are potentially vacant every year, and we've calculated the DCLG figures are £4.5 billion can be made from the sale of those properties, and that will be a very, very effective way, in essence, of liberating money to help the very poorest in our society, to ensure that there are more affordable homes for people who need them, because we've built more than 200,000 affordable homes during the course of this Parliament. We've ensured that the balance is once more in favour of additional housing, both for those who need to rent and for those who want to buy.
The extra 8 billion for the NHS, I know this has been discussed before, but are you in any position to tell us a little more about where that would come from?
Yes, we've already managed to increase spending on the NHS over the course of the last 5 years by £7 billion more than real terms. So we'll be carrying on with the prudent management of public finances, which has allowed us in the past 5 years to spend more money on the NHS and at the same time to lower taxes for working people and to halve the deficit. So it's a continuation of the balanced plan that we've had over the course of the last 5 years.
So the voter watching this is just thinking 8 billion extra for the NHS, yes, that may be something I welcome, but I am wondering precisely where that 8 billion is coming from. What's your answer?
It's coming from the party that has, in the course of the last 5 years, found £7 billion extra for the NHS and has already, in this year, in 2015-16, found an additional £2 billion for the NHS. The one party in this general election which has committed heart and soul to our National Health Service, which has ring-fenced funding for it and found extra money, are the Conservatives. It's Labour in Wales that have actually cut spending on the NHS, and as a result we've had poorer treatments and longer waiting lists. And the reason that we've been able to do that is that we've had effective management of the public finances, economic growth, and also more people in work, in contrast with Labour. When they left office, unemployment was rising, and because more people are in work, more people are paying taxes, more people are contributing to the exchequer, and we can invest in the high-quality public services that the people of this country deserve.
Well, we understand, you made it clear that you're confident you can raise that. I'm just asking you again, where? Where does that come from? The £8 billion, precisely where does that sum of money come from?
It comes from the prudent management of public finances and from a growing economy.
Really, but precisely where? Where's it coming from? Which other budgets is it coming from?
It is the case that we've already, I said, in the course of the last 5 years, managed to do this. If you'd been asking me in 2010, perhaps you did, I can't remember, is it going to be possible for you simultaneously to cut taxes and to increase spending on the NHS, you would have raised one, if not both, eyebrows. But we've already managed it. So we don't need to speculate on where the money is coming from. We can look at our record. Economists point out that if you want to know about the future, look at the past. If you want to know if someone is capable of generating savings and making an investment in the NHS, then look at their record. Our record over the last 5 years has been increased investment in the NHS. Labour's record, in the one part of the United Kingdom where they're responsible for the NHS, has been cuts. So all you need to do is to look at what we've managed to achieve so far and assume that that trajectory will continue.
A point raised today, Mr Gove, by the Institute for Fiscal Studies, the independent body, saying the Prime Minister confirmed today, almost in passing, that they're looking for a budget surplus by 2018. That's only 3 years away. To get a budget surplus by then would require tens and tens of billions of pounds worth of spending cuts or tax increases. And of course, said Paul Johnson, we got no detail whatever of what those might look like. Again, just for those voters watching today, why are you asking people to vote for you when you're not in a position to provide that level of very important detail?
Well, we have actually provided more detail than any other party about our spending plans. We discussed earlier where the £4.5 billion is coming from, which will fund the revolution in housing and the extension of home ownership that we've talked about. It's also the case that we will be reducing the deficit by £30 billion by making sure, first of all, that we cut departmental spending by £13 billion, that also we will cut welfare by £12 billion, and also, on top of that, we will deal with tax evasion and tax avoidance by getting another £5 billion back. Each of those is a continuation of the trajectory, of the record that we've already established in the last 5 years. There's nothing revolutionary about that. It's building on our achievements in a step-by-step way.
Mr Gove, good to talk to you. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, you.
Michael Gove there for the Conservatives. A little more reaction now then to today's launch of the Conservative Manifesto, potentially